to be done, but I think that I have lived uprightly till today. Nobody can say anything to me. Good morning to you. Welcome to a beautiful Monday morning of the Morning Update on TV XYZ. My name is Nana Abena Sewa. And I have with me Eric Ayanyo.
Yes, Abena, how was your weekend?
It was great, actually.
Good.
Yesterday I was dancing with my mom. I didn't know she could dance, eh?
My mom is dead, and yesterday I saw a certain picture which depicted a very poor woman who was struggling to bring up the children. My mother had 7 children, and when I compare her to my wife, I actually appreciate the struggle she went through. 7 children, 5 boys and 2 girls.
5 boys.
Yes, 5 guys, strong guys.
Even you alone is 10 guys.
Yes. And see, there's a poor woman, and you know, it happens in some of these deprived homes. I will be sick, maybe malaria. As soon as I am well, somebody else is sick. And sometimes it continues, and everybody will be sick within a period. And I can imagine the sleepless nights when my father was snoring.
I know.
So even though she's no more, I celebrate Davi.
Yes.
People call her Davi.
And I remember there was a time, I think around, I was about 9-ish. I felt very sick. My mom kept moving me from one hospital to the other, and I remember how helpless she felt. Oh Lord, I love you, Mom. I'm so sorry for everything that I have done. So I know.
But you see, we celebrate women, but the men, they suffer. Look, that must also be on the table one day.
Yes, someday. Yes. But I mean, as we are celebrating women, it is also disheartening to know that a 16-year-old has been raped 7 times by her headmaster. Apparently, it looks like the case is being dwindled, and they want to kill. 7 times at a go, or no, subsequent.
So why did it take her the 7th time to complain?
She said she told her best friend in school and asked that when the headmaster comes to call her, she should come in and blow the alarm. But on 2 occasions, the girl came and she didn't blow the alarm. She just came in and said to her that she should report to her mother. But she said that she knows her mom would not believe her or blame her, and so she couldn't tell the mother. And the girl also didn't blow the alarm. That is why apparently one teacher even saw them one time, and he also didn't say anything about it. And even now that the case is out, it looks like her guardian also doesn't want to comment. So it seems the case will
once
be
it is out,
over.
I strongly believe DOFSU, or maybe
it's been handed to
Brighter Peers Group may follow up. But you see, you have discussed this before. It brings to question how we relate to our children.
Exactly.
Do your children have confidence in you to the extent that they can come to you even when they have made a mistake and tell you the truth, and you walk them out of that problem? That is what I think as parents we should do. There are some parents who are so domineering, who are so, they behave like lions in their houses. And so as soon as they come home, the children are scared, they are getting into their rooms. The woman is perhaps leaving the kitchen when she's done to maybe quarantine herself in the bedroom. And that is the story in many homes.
It is.
I believe we should open up.
Yes, we should.
We should show interest in this story.
Oh yes, I'm very interested because it's not something that she liked. I mean, sometimes you can tell that other people tell their stories and they are not really keen about what's happening. It's like they're enjoying it, but they just feel like, okay, or maybe they were blackmailing the person and now they feel like coming out. But this is not the case. I mean, she's just 16.
Well, I just hope that GES, as they did to a case in Kumasi some time ago, will show interest in this, that there's an investigation done, and once it is done, they should sanction the teacher. I believe GES should move in, but for us in the media, once we start pressing the button, the actors...
I'm going to press it. I'm going to post it everywhere. Also, a 25-year-old Ghanaian living in Miami has been gunned down, and we are yet to find out who or what transpired.
Far away in Miami.
Yes, Ghanaian woman.
Sad.
Yeah, very sad. Whereas another immigration woman on a motorbike going to work also has been trashed down by a truck.
Why is it that your focus has been on women who have come under attack? There are lots of men out there.
starting because it's Women's Day. I'm sorry, but when men come, I say it as well. But today is Women's Day, and it looks like every news portal I went to was reporting something about women, and I had to say it. I had to bring it out.
But it's good.
But
it's
I
good.
mean, aside all the bad things that are happening, I miss a Cameroonian woman also being cut into pieces by her boyfriend, who later hanged himself in Italy. There is another woman in America who has been appointed as a legislative fellow in the U.S. Army. She is Senior Master Sergeant Eva Appiah. So we want to say congratulations when you put your mind to it.
Eva Appiah.
Yes.
Right. So that is how Abena wants to welcome you this morning as we wrap up the celebration of Mother's Day.
We wrap up?
Yes, we are wrapping up.
We can never wrap up on that.
Right.
Every day is Mother's Day.
Every day is Mother's Day. That's good. Now, the Chronicle on its front page says, "Wound to me, I buy road contracts from Odike and Akpalu and pay 10%. That's a big story on the front page of the Chronicle newspaper. And that's the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP, either bragging or revealing what it does to road contracts. Then let's fix the country together. Oforiatta addressed a news conference yesterday in response to the hashtag Fix the Country campaign. The center spread has all the details. Today we shall be discussing that on the newspaper review. You'll be hearing the finance minister yourself. Again, if you missed him yesterday, it's an opportunity to stay with us on newspaper review on TVXYZ and Wizard TV. The back page.
Eric, before you do that, because you just mentioned Fix the Country,
right.
No, Fix the Country, the National Security have issued a statement because apparently there's been news going around that they called their conveners and they tapped their phones, etc., etc., and they're saying that that is not the case. They just called them for a meeting, and as protocol, when you get to the National Security, you leave your phone at the front desk. They didn't tap the phone. If they want to tap your phone, they will take a warrant to do that. So they want the public to know that.
I don't trust what they said. I don't trust, because these people are talking about one phone out of the lot, and they have given you instances why they believe that messages are missing or diverted and somebody was eavesdropping. I don't know who can investigate to tell the truth, but you see, when you treat patriots, as the finance minister is saying, let's fix the country together. And you treat them suspiciously. These are people who have been invited to meet the IGP. They are misled into a meeting with cabinet ministers to go and negotiate a demonstration or to go and coerce them or influence them, bribe them. Was that the import? Then these people leave the meeting. And then they are lured again that this time the IGP wants to meet you, only to be served with an injunction notice secured by X party. It's not fair. Once there's that breach of trust, it only angers the people more. And then they want to picket at the Independence Square. And I'm sure later when Wisdom joins us, you'll see the news. They swam there with bulletproof vests, armored vehicles, and everything, as if that place is a war zone. What are they communicating to the international community? I've seen a BBC Pidgin publication which is making mockery of what is happening in this country. So if the trajectory of events suggests that government is acting suspiciously, I won't trust the statement from the information ministry.
My advice to NPP is that listen to the people, because I feel like politicians don't learn. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. When Mahama was in power, the economy, I mean, a lot of things were happening. When people started complaining, he came out to say a lot of things. I'm a dead goat, and if oil prices are going up, pick trotro, all of these things, and Ghanaians voted against them. Now they are doing the same thing. We are saying fix the country, and instead of finding something nice to say, they come out and say all sorts of things.
Maybe the finance minister has responded.
It's too late, honey. Should I do the daily graphic? Should I do the daily graphic? Okay, still on fixing the country. It says we are fixing the economy, rolling out interventions to ease the burden. This is coming from Finance Minister. Also, the NCC is advising that Ghanaians take civic education seriously. I remember I used to be the vice president for the NCC in my secondary school. Now, the Junior Graphic launches national essay competition. This I like. Again, I used to write stories for Junior Graphic. Also, let's collectively fight hooliganism. This is coming from the sports minister in commemoration of the May 9th.
I thought you wanted to say again you were a hooligan. The Inquisitor on its front page, Wuntumi caught on tape. I pay 10% for contracts. Exposes Akpalu and Odike. This is road minister. It comes with a picture of Bernardine Boesiako, Chairman Wuntumi, Kwesi Amwakwata, Kofi Akpalu, and Akwesi Adai Odike. And then Kelliot Motors to impound Freddie Blaze campaign buses. Also on the front page of the Inquisitor newspaper. I want to just touch on page 6 briefly. New taxes. Government must be prudent to prevent public fatigue. And this is coming from the Ghana Union of Traders Association.
All right. Still on trade, Business and Financial Times is saying that industry becomes pandemic's biggest casualty in economy as it contracts, while agri and services grow. Also, Ghana card CID databases to be merged together. This is coming from VIP. Now, to enable employees do background checks. I think this is a good initiative.
Very, very good initiative.
Now, be cautious in implementing lifestyle audits in AML and CFT fights. Lecturer says focus should be on suspicious transactions. Now, on the back page of the Business and Financial Times, it says one district, one factory gets international collaboration. Springs and Bolts partners South African company to develop new business opportunities, whereas nominees shortlisted for Ghana Entrepreneur and Corporate Executive Awards 2021.
So let me run through the Ghanaian Times front page. Government's response to fix the country demands. It comes with a picture of the finance minister in his white. As usual, we will require $10 billion to fix roads, says finance minister. And if we need $10 billion to fix roads, and the Auditor General's report suggests that $20 billion or cedis, whichever, has been lost between 2017 and 2020. Just forget about all the billions that have been lost under the Mahama regime, under the Mills regime, under the regimes that are passed, and we have failed to collect these monies. Then you can imagine how much we have punished the average Ghanaian. And that's on the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Herald says frightened Akufo-Addo government abducts demonstrators into secret meeting with ministers of state. And that's it on the front page of the paper, Abner.
All right, so AU appoints John Mahama as special envoy to Somalia. Congratulations, sir. Also, Lodina Mahama commends matrons at orphanages, frontline workers on Mother's Day. NPP's arrogant response to fix the country is the difference between them and the NDC. This sort of disagree because both of them gave us negative responses.
So we have the Doomsor timetable.
Oh, is that?
And today it's starting. And if you look at, if you live at Insakina, Oduman, Odoko, Official Town, Awoshi, Odogono, Malam, Abiase, Top Base, Kokompe, Zamrama Line, Banana Inn, Choko, Kolegono, Begbese, Shaibu, Kwashibu, Abekan La Paz, New Boy Town, Alaji, Soutium, Ablekuma, New Town, Dansoman, Control Market, GBC, Staff Quarters, Old Barrier, Opekuma, Ashalaja, and Lamte Mills. I'm sure between now and 6 p.m., you may not be watching us on your TV set if you don't have a generator because you are already in Doomsor, and this is 12 to 12. When we come back during the news review segment, I will tell you those who live with Doomsor tonight. One of the areas is Malam Bawe, so you can imagine the communities involved. Abena, we'll be taking a break now.
We'll be taking a break now. When we come back, Wisdom Heather Jome will be on.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it. naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural. Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Microfinance, growing with you.
It's Monday. Hello and many thanks for joining TVX Waza News in Brief. Coming up in this bulletin, the Fix the Country protest, now virtual, pending appeals court ruling as heavily deployment of police scares of Sunday planned protesters. Meanwhile, Finance Minister says government is on course, but for COVID-19, spells out key areas to be addressed immediately. Also in this bulletin, government claims that national security operatives arrested for sneaking into Etiwa forest to partake in Galamsey activities are hired and other contract staff, raising suspicions about another cover-up attempt. And later in this bulletin, ban on noise making take effect today in Accra. Details coming up. My name is Wisdom Hedejime. Ready? Now, the planned demonstration by activists of the hashtag Fix the Country yesterday was fought by heavily armed police officers who took over the Blaster Square before dawn. Now, the conveners disappointed at the turn of events, suggesting that government is hell-bent on preventing their protest, resorted to virtual protest and with a pledge to sustain their fight until government hears their cry. The details are in the following report. Some of those who would have joined the protest ended up sharing viral videos of how the police had secured the venue. The Independence Square had virtually been turned into a security zone. It may have been in anticipation of an overwhelming support following over 600,000 tweets in support of the hashtag Face the Country campaign. Heavily armed armored vehicles, water cannons, and personnel were deployed to cordon off the National Parade grounds, while some took position on top of the Independence Arch and at major intersections. They were not going to take chances, and the clear show of force was to serve as a deterrent. The organizers, anticipating this, adopted Plan B. Part of the statement simply said, in view of the disappointing court order, they were adopting a virtual protest. Participants were asked to upload pictures online of themselves wearing black with placards bearing their concerns. It again asked motorists, including commercial drivers and Okada riders, to toot their horns every hour between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m., while those home were asked to bang on utensils for a minute. Twitter and Facebook was awash with some of the posts. Some of the online demonstrators clad in black attire hoisted placards with inscriptions such as hashtag Fix the Country, hashtag We Are Angry, Government Must Work for the People, Bad Roads, End Corruption, Doomsa Must Stop, hashtag Fix Mother Ghana, Low Wages and Salaries, Nepotism, Corruption, Social Injustice, High Taxes, among others. The conveners had expected hundreds to turn up in defiance after their appeal against the High Court's injunction was postponed to June 8. They accused the police of bad faith. In a brief press release,
They listed a number of accusations that they were misled into a meeting, which turned out to be a discussions with cabinet ministers, rather than the police on their planned protest, and again lured to another meeting with the IGP, only to be served with an injunction order. The demonstration is intended to send a strong signal to government about the growing disappointment and anger about failed promises, misled priorities, impunity, and attempts to impose the culture of silence. TVXYZ News will keep you updated.
Now, one of the conveners of the group is accusing government of cloning via cell phones. He claims the only Android number he has been using has been diverted to an unregistered number with the name monitoring, and that all conversations and messages they had can no longer be accessed, but that has been vehemently denied by government. Let's still stay in that space, because the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, says government will work around the clock to ensure that the concerns raised by the demonstrators are addressed. Now, the Minister, addressing a news conference yesterday, says government is committed to making life comfortable for Ghanaians. The press briefing yesterday, dubbed Rebuilding Ghana's Economy, appealed for support and come to help government implement both policies to open up economy for accelerated development. Now, Mr. Ofori-Atta blamed the delayed implementation of project on the impact of COVID-19 and says government was on course to achieving a stabilized economy and job creation.
Ensure that the worst possible impact of the pandemic was averted. However, let me stress that to ensure a complete recovery, we need to invest more in the organizational capital of Ghanaian businesses going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also fixing this rising debt burden on Ghana. The debt stock as of end December 2020 stood at a nominal figure of 291 billion, representing 76.1% of GDP, compared to 218 billion, equivalent to 62.4% of GDP in 2019. The total public debt has increased from 122 billion, 56.9% of GDP in 2016 to the current 292 billion, 76.1% of GDP at the end of December 2020. Included in the debt stock and the debt to GDP ratio at the end of 2020 are the following non-recurrent burdens that we had to deal with as a matter of urgency.
Mr. Ofori-Atta also said in the coming days, government will move swiftly to address some of the issues raised by the hashtag Fix the Country conveners, and that including will be the provision of potable water to areas for critical need, enhance road construction, improve sanitation, and implement job programs and economic transformation.
Days, we will move swiftly to address some of the issues that the hashtag Fix the Economy have raised. First, I'm working with the Minister for Water and Sanitation to immediately ensure potable water to areas of critical need. Second, I'm working with the Ministers of Road and Highways and Transport and Interior to address congestion along the major highways. Third, we are fast-tracking the implementation of the 200 million Jobs and Skills Program and Economic Transformation Program to enhance job creation significantly. This intervention is designed to facilitate new and expanded private sector businesses to employ more people. This, we believe, is a more sustainable way to rebuild this economy instead of expanding government employment schemes. Fourth, starting this month, we are rolling out over 8 additional interventions under the Ghana Cares Obatampa program. These will be in the health, agriculture, tourism, trade, digitization, science and technology, housing, and financial services. Fifth, by the end of July, we'll have a new development bank capitalized at over $500 million that will provide long-term wholesale financing, not retail as happened in the past, to the private sector through commercial banks and non-bank financial institutions such as venture capital companies for SMEs to ensure financing to support the youth.
Now, government is denying the involvement of national security operatives in the illegal mining in the Etiwa forest in spite of a viral video showing those arrested. Now, it describes the suspect as fake operatives and that those arrested are rather some contract and hired staff who engaged illegal miners.
This viral video is said to be the alleged suspects arrested by vigilant community members with the support of the forestry guards when they sneaked into the Tiwa forest at dawn under the pretext of going to flush out illegal miners. They were heavily armed, wore bulletproof vests and had communication gadgets, but the brave residents of Achim Akanting in the West Achim municipality of the Eastern region managed to overpower and handed them over to the police. They vandalized and deflated the tires of 5 vehicles, including a Land Cruiser, a Tundra with registration number NR 970620, Toyota Hilux with registration number GT 968314, and a Nissan Patrol. Last week, the police was economical with information about the arrest, only to say they have been transferred from the Eastern Regional Police Command to the Police CID headquarters. Now, government has officially reacted. It describes the suspects as fake. A statement issued by the Information Ministry said their investigations reveal a contract staff engaged these suspects to mine in the Akanting forest. The contractor and those involved, according to the National Security Ministry, have all been remanded in police custody. It did not offer further details, only to say they will soon be arraigned before court. The development is raising fears of a possible cover-up, but government says it's focused and poised to end the menace this time. Ranking member on the Lands and Forestry Committee of Parliament, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, tells TVXYZ News the minority is closely monitoring how the case is handled.
We would expect the police to be up and doing and do the right thing because we are all watching and looking forward to seeing a decisive action. We don't expect them to cut any corners. We want them to investigate this matter seriously and decisively so that in the end, some people are punished for doing what we all are against. But we are watching from Parliament. We are eager to see the right thing done. We in the NDC side of the Parliament are eager to get the right thing done when it comes to the land, when it comes to our rivers.
Last week, a crack team of 200 police officers were dispatched to join 200 military personnel deployed to stop illegal mining around water bodies and around the concessions owned by multinational companies. Reports say the 15 arrested last Tuesday in the Tiwa forest brings to 65 the total number of Galamsey security operatives arrested within the last 2 weeks.
Let's turn attention to health now because the Ghana Health Service says it will release a schedule in the coming days for those who are eligible to take their second jab by close of next week. It says there is no cause for worry about inadequate vaccines because more consignments are expected to by the close of the month to augment the 350,000 free COVAX vaccines received last Friday.
Last month, skeptics raised concern about the delay in administering the second dose of the COVID-19 vaccines. This was after the Ghana Health Service announced a 3-week delay, allaying fears about possible clinical side effects. Thankfully, the World Health Organization has been benevolent again, supplying 350,000 AstraZeneca vaccines under the free COVAX program. The package is part of 1.3 million doses originally meant for the Democratic Republic of Congo. UNICEF was compelled to redistribute the consignment to some African countries, including Senegal and Togo, before the among leaders. Now, traditional expectation is high, especially among the over 840,000 who have already taken their first doses. Manager in charge of the extended program on immunization, Dr. Kwame Amponsa Achiano, has disclosed Ghana Health Service will begin administering the jabs next week. Dr. Amponsa Achiano stopped short of details but said text messages will be sent to targeted groups to visit the nearest center for their jabs. There are indications frontline health staff, security personnel, top government officials, MPs, and some prominent traditional leaders shall be among the first to benefit from the 350,000 AstraZeneca vaccines. Ghana Health Service is still optimistic. Last week, President Nana Akufo-Addo said Ghana is expecting 1.3 million doses of Russia's Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine by May 15th. On February 24th, Ghana became the first country to receive vaccines from the COVAX facility. COVAX is co-led by the Vaccine Alliance, Gavi, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, CEPI, and the World Health Organization, WHO, whose objective is to accelerate the development and production of COVID-19 vaccines and guarantee fair and equitable access for every country in the world.
Now, John Mahama, former president of Ghana, has a new task. Now, he's been elected peace ambassador to Somalia. He, among other things, is expected to help restore democracy through credible elections. According to the statement signed by the chairperson of the African Union, former President John Mahama will work with the Somali stakeholders to reach a mutually accepted compromise towards an all-encompassing resolution for the holding of Somali elections in the shortest possible time. Mr. Mahama will be supported by African Union's mission in Somalia, AMISOM. The AU has since appealed to the Somali stakeholders to negotiate in good faith towards an inclusive settlement to the electoral crisis. The East African country has witnessed renewed political crisis recently after the incumbent president, Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed, decided to extend his tenure by 2 more years. UN Secretary General has commended John Mahama for his appointment and hopes parties involved will hold the return to the negotiation table towards the implementation of the September 17 electoral agreement for timely and inclusive elections. Now, overseer of the Prophetic Hill Chapel, Prophet Nigel Gezi, has launched a book, Let the Fire Fall. The prophet says beyond the book, which is also available online and other Christian bookshops, he intends to extend his outreach program to campuses. It was a packed service as usual, and congregants were full of praise to the Almighty for the wonders in their life and their gift. Prophet Nigel Gezi, General Overseer of Prophetic Hill Chapel. The occasion, unlike all other services, was to witness the launch of the maiden book by Prophet Nigel Gezi, Let the Fire Fall. It was forwarded by Reverend Duncan Stewart. The launch, held at the church's auditorium at Dome, was attended by businessmen, politicians, colleague men of God, and other prominent individuals. The first copy of the book was bought at 50,000 cedis. Others paid different sums for copies in appreciation of the impact he has made on their lives. Prophet Gezi called on Christians to accept the Holy Ghost to lead their path to success. Speaking to the media after the launch, the General Overseer of Prophetic Hill Chapel said he was inspired by the Holy Ghost and the desire to rescue the perishing through his 54-page book.
The motivation is simple, that Jesus will be heard. And when we talk about let the fire fall, it's all about Jesus. Bible says that is not a consuming fire. What settles the matter from Genesis to Revelation is the fire of God. And any major prophet of God, before you can get to a certain realm to be a major prophet, for your words not to fall like that of Samuel, you need the fire of God. And believers all over the world, this book is for you. Where we cannot come personally, where the Bible cannot come personally, this book will bring you to speed, especially young men and women. The Church of God, now there are a lot of attacks, especially in the prophetic church in Ghana, because heretofore we had power. Heretofore when we speak, it comes to power. But now there's so much of board meat in the church. But I'm believing God that anybody that get this book, we have prayed over their covenant behind it. Yeah, the fire of God will enter you. You walk in the fire of God, and God is going to restore back His church again.
And that's all we have time for this morning. My name is Wisdom Hedejome. As always, please log on to www.myxyzonline.com for more news stories and update. Morning Update continues. Good morning.
If I cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehefa pa na menya bosia, edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai cry mabre, me bosia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamo akwa baba so hum rural bank. Ye won hye ahodo bi te say dwadifo abosia, ekuokuo bosia, susu account. And it does all her savings account. Me bada chain savings account. And then the keka ho. Press home rural bank was 034229186. Now one so what to me aka say.
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Me tell you, me want this say na me say ko fa pani. Hey! Kwati adawrumo, me yonko kwati. Na adawruma. Enu anwumre wo ye aduane asori wura dem na me fefe me se adabo no. Ana kwati ebere meduro. Eduro odebere me no say losing heba, Mr.
Na me sisi me pechi, ene me ho na matwetwe me. Ene me kyese madwonku, ene me sei. Na de na wonka
me do futwa so. Empre ho, enya no nko. Wo de losing heba ointment.
Me sisi me kotodwe ni me pechi me ho na me yaw me ntiwa na etwetwe me nyina me no ye de Israel eko me benefit ko mu yaw na ha no ono bie no eko na malaria ne die etu ase edekude
Lawson Herbal Clinic 0242 133 577
enye ma pemfo e ma wo ma omanofo ene mofra wonya mfie dum Lawson Herbal mixture any Lawson ointment e ho ase daye
Hi, welcome back to the morning update on TV XYZ. My name is Nana Abena Sewa. Today, we are still honoring our mothers. I mean, every day is Mother's Day, but just as we have birthdays and Christmas and Easter, we also have Mother's Day. And I'm grateful for that because I'm also a mother, so I get to hear, Happy birthday, Mommy! Well, today, I want to know some of your experiences with your mother. I know that some people used to change labels on sugar and salt just to confuse their mom whenever their moms beat them or punish them for something they did wrong. So tell me your experience today. We'll open the phone lines and we'll have the discussions. But we also know that a lot of times our mothers, especially the single ones, have to go through a lot of tribulations to raise us, because first of all, they need to think about our well-being whilst thinking about theirs as well. Me, as a single mom, I do not remember the last time I bought something for myself. Sometimes, even when I go beyond the budgets I have stipulated, I feel so guilty because I'm like, oh, so whenever I'm out, mostly I hardly eat because I do not like to eat different food from my children. And so I wait till I get home and then we eat together. And they also wait for me, but obviously they eat, but we eat the same thing. My point is that there are lots of times we see our mothers go through a lot just to take care of us. They will take a lot just to take care of us. My mother, for instance, I remember once she moved on from my father, was trying to have a relationship with someone else, and I was the obstacle every single time. This man will cook and I would not taste the food, and that was one thing he really hated, and I still didn't stop because I didn't want my mother to be there. Metro cry, mommy, papa. And I have somebody sitting in the studio who has some experiences. We'll talk about that, and I'll introduce you to my person in the studio who has something to tell you. But before that, we know the First Lady came out to say a lot of things during Mother's Day, and I'll quickly run through that. She says, I am who I am because of Mama is a common sentiment among Ghanaian children, and they are right. The stories that follow are stories of bold sacrifices and pain, of mysterious love and investments. I believe celebrating mothers will never go out of date. After all, there is constant need of their bountiful supply of prayers, even in one's old age. A mother's love, a mother's prayer, a mother's faith, a mother's counsel, a mother's touch. As I reflect on these, one message is clear. We love them because they first loved us. Angels in the shape of mothers, may we continue to thank them. May we continue to love and adore them. May we be like them. Happy Mother's Day to our mothers. As I indicated earlier, we want to know the experiences you have had with your mom, the good ones, the great ones, and sometimes even the bad ones, because that is what made us and has made us who we are as we are now. We also would want to know if indeed, I mean, we are all fighting for rights. We have gays and lesbians fighting for rights and asking for things from the government. What do you also think that the government can do for single mothers to help better the conditions so that some of us do not make certain mistakes that we are making right now? Wisdom Hedejome is in the studio.
I'm here.
How are you doing? And then I'll call now.
Yeah. This ambush by too many days.
Right. So tell me some of your experiences with your mom. I mean, you did say some interesting ones that I don't know if you would want to say on TV, but
okay. I mean, those are kiddie days, so I mean I can just mention that. Well, my mom prays. She's a prayerful woman, and so all the time praying. And then she says, we should go fast.
Right. So we're opening the phone lines now. It's 0204155888 or 0204155944. We've put the phone lines on there. Please call in and tell me I know mothers are very, very, very tolerating, because I know a number of times you do things, especially in public. There are children who intentionally piss their mothers off in public because they know, say, my mom can't do anything to me. But you also know as a child, if your mom says, you're in trouble. They talk to us with their eyes and certain gestures, and you know that you are in trouble. Was that the case for you?
Yes, my mom hardly talk. You know, she'll just look at you with the left eye. And then when she looks at you and winks the left eye a certain way, then you know that Charlie problem come. And so for me, I liked food when I was a kid. I liked eating. I enjoyed eating. And then she'll say, oh, today we are fasting. We are doing that. And for me, I felt that was contrary to my personal
Hey, what's up? I'm not catching you. MC Rachel, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Nyamia Dumo, nice to say.
You're
saying share them. So what is our day? About 2024, so better.
Not much of that.
MC Mate, now, Mr. Shall we experience my why?
Maybe the end of my sword in part, we will not be teaching bolas because I'm
Hey, Prince, hello, good morning.
Hi, morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Right. So, tell us your experience there once you actually remember with your mom.
Oh, yes. When I was a small boy. Yes.
Hello, Prince. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there. When you sent me, I won't go. And if I decided to go, no, I'll take the fish out of the food that they sent me. So, if you want to keep your fish in the food, make sure you don't
send Prince.
Yes.
All right, Prince.
If you send me, I will just let you take it.
Prince, thank you for sharing your experience. Hi, Ebenezer. Good morning.
Morning.
Ebenezer, how are you?
I'm doing great. You look beautiful tonight.
Oh, thank you. All right, Ebenezer, so tell us your experience.
I quite remember I was beaten by my mom, and that has changed my life.
Right.
Because sometimes we try to be stubborn, but our mother has helped us a lot.
Yes.
And that they sometimes don't give us food, but that it has changed our lives. I'm somebody now. So I'm sending all greetings to our mother.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Hi, Lord Gaddafi, good morning.
Good morning. What you say?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Hey, Abna 2 and I Abna 3.
Abna 1, Abna AB1, back up.
You say I get Abna to be on Power FM.
Ah, we Abna 1.
Pampa, yeah, mammy, your mom, on my idea. If you put them because them, be a stubborn. Be a stubborn, papa. Be a dear crowd, who cry, as I
am.
And yeah, mammy, almost more for telling. You don't cry no more. And so, a man is not partially woman. That's saying my baby.
Definitely.
And then there's the other my idea.
Yeah, that's it. Hello, Dennis. Good morning.
Morning.
Dennis, how are you?
I'm fine. You?
I'm good, thank you. So please share your experience with us.
Yeah, I could remember when I was younger, I went for a working team. So my mother told us didn't go, but I went. So when I came back, I know in the door they'll be beating me. So I sleep and I wanted to sneak in the dawn time, but I was not able to do that. She came and grabbed me like that.
And so that was the beating of your life, you remember, huh?
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing, Dennis. Thank you. Now, speaking of beating, I remember there was a time they had closed the tap, and so my mom asked that I go to our neighbor. I mean, down. We had a friend down there to go fetch water, and when I was going, I saw some 40 pesos. Those times it wasn't the same 40 pesos, and I picked it because I wanted to buy roasted corn. So as soon as I picked the thing I was going, my mom called me. She started calling me to come back, and I didn't want to go because I knew what I had done. But I still went back. As soon as I entered the room, oh Lord have mercy, that was the last time I stole anything. Even with my eyes or my hand, I've never stolen anything.
But you didn't steal, I actually picked on the floor. So
it wasn't on the floor. I picked it from it was on the table.
Oh, okay.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Oh, not bad. And you?
I'm good, thank you. So please share your experience with us.
Oh, my experience with all of you is go to all women at Mother's Day.
Oh.
I give you long life and prosperity.
Amen.
It's not easy.
It's not.
It's not easy for a mother who will be taking care of you to grow enough to be a somebody. It's not so easy.
Right.
I may say, may God bless all women.
Amen.
And give a long life. More wisdom. The wisdom that God has given to Solomon. We want those wisdom from you people.
Amen. To
take care of you.
Amen.
That's
Thank
why
you.
I called.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
and God bless you. That was awesome.
Yeah, you know, my mom would say that, you know that because you won't get me to beat, you will not get me. You can't run with me.
I can tell you are very
struggle
swift
with me, and so I mean, she'll tell you, oh, go to the room, go under the bed.
I have someone on the line. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Please tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, my name is Paul.
Paul,
Yeah.
Good morning. So please tell us your experience.
Yeah, okay. I quite remember when I was a child. I was so stubborn. I like going out and I don't come back early. And when I'm going and got to a stage when I'm going out, my mom will call me. I will tell her that, okay, mom, I'm going to the washroom. Those days there was no washroom like the way we had, so we'll go to the bush anywhere around. She will call me. She will want to look at my penis if it has erect before I'll go out. If not, she won't let me go out. Because it's something that normally happens when you're a child. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Welcome.
Hi, Linda. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good, thank you. So please share your experience with us. And say something nice to your mother, because we're bread. Okay. Linda, could you speak up for me, please?
Okay, Madam Mammy.
Ah.
9 months and you.
Hello, Linda.
And I am me, and I'm man of the post on me, but they are woman, papa. Of women.
Linda. Oh, do you hear her? Because I can't. I can.
Appreciating him.
Oh, okay. Pacha, I'm afraid. Not Mama. Please raise your voices for us when you call through. Now, there's something I want us to discuss. What policies do you think should be implemented for for single mothers, to help some of us? Because a bit more bread. You understand?
For me, I'm not sure it will be just for single mothers.
I mean, for every mother.
There are some mothers whose husbands are not helping matters. Last Thursday.
Before that, Perpetua, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm great, and you?
I'm good, thank you. So please share your experience with us and say something nice to your mother.
I remember so well that there were times of difficult moments, and this woman had to sell her clothing, her clothes, her kente, just to pay up our fees and put food on our table. So on this special day, I want to tell my mommy that even though it's not been the best of kids, but she has made us who we are today. And we promised her that we will put that beautiful smile and joy in her face before she passes on, if God so be.
Oh, thank you.
I pray that she gives a long life.
Amen.
And she being a single mother will not end this year. We wish a long life.
Amen. 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 Thank you. Thank you so much for calling. I have Jesus on the line. Jesus, good morning.
Good morning, Madam. Good morning.
Boko, Pachana also eh. Pachaso Casa Free here. Tete Cratchy. Oh, awesome.
Madam,
Pacho Yetio Casa.
Mama, sorry, we say, now this nice pampers are also. And I'm a call, me jam and I do so come. Or see the enemy, I'm off with black and the day. So I'm going to be a I saw them grab now, and the pampers are coming. But say about that, the video come with that and get one. So, in terms of the month, I'm going to be for it. One very one kata. So, the kata you move na happy Mother's Day, especially my woman, and I am MP. And I will like to so. The Pakistan doesn't was only a engagement.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Jesus. So afraid.
Yeah. So.
Hi. Hello. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
I'm good, thank you. So, please share your experience with us and say something nice to your mom.
I remember one time I went to one lady's place and the lady prepared food. And my mom was someone, she doesn't like you to eat outside. So, I went to this woman's place and the lady was like, come and eat. Immediately, I washed my hands. My mom came in. My mom was like, I told you not to eat this. I will beat you. So I came inside and said the woman that, Madam, my mother said she will beat me. So the lady came out, oh, Madam, why did you say that? My mom said, no, I didn't say anything. I said, Madam, she's lying.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. All right. That was an interesting. Yeah. So
it's terrible. You've lost appetite. All of a sudden, you lose appetite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right,
so we're talking about what policies we can have for our mothers.
Yes.
Somebody like my mom, Janet Abenasewa. I want to say good morning to you. You see, I call you mommy because she's also Abenasewa, and that's my mom. Yes, Janet Abenasewa. You see, like herself and many other women, they may have husbands who may not necessarily help in all of these things. So I'm hoping in terms of health, in terms of finances, in terms of some livelihood empowerment program for these people, so that at least they can also come up and support the kids they have, because it's not easy. It's not easy. That woman I spoke to last Thursday says she's been selling pawpaw for 17 years. Ask yourself, what can she get out of this? Waking up at 1 a.m. to go and queue and buy pawpaw and then carry on her head the whole day. Ask yourself, how many miles do you walk a day? But these are people on the street. And it's very terrible. They go through all of this experience. And so we need something to help our mothers. We shouldn't wait for Mother's Day to come and then they charade, oh, Mother's Day, Mother's Day. No, we should go beyond that. True. They need help.
I agree with what he just said. Let's try and put something in place for our mothers and help them, because a lot of men... ASMP. But again, if you're a man and you have stuck with your wife, or you are sticking to your girlfriend who you want to marry, but there are a few things that you want her to tweak with regards to down there, then please buy her Lawson Care mixture to kill the gonorrhea, the syphilis, or even the infertility problem she may be facing later on. Also, you, the man, can get yourself Delay Man capsules and get the Lawson herbal ointment for the grandparents in the house, or even if you have hurt yourself or you have knee problems, you have joint problems, get the ointment and fix it. Also, you can get your Black Secret makeup from every makeup store, and of course, X Natural Mineral Water. I would never come sit here and not mention it. Simply Natural. This, of course, has been the social segment on the morning update on TV XYZ. My name is Nana Abnasewa, and today I had Wisdom Hedejome in the studio to help with the Mother's Day discussions. Mother's Day to every mother out there, including myself. Happy Mother's Day. Rejoice, no mercy. I did say that I'll wish you a happy Mother's Day this morning. Happy Mother's Day, of course, to my mom. Whew. Wisdom, thank you. And Eric Ahianyo is on standby for newspaper review, so stay tuned.
So say dear, we in charge when you feel one casansa. Lawson Delay Man capsules. A mob sissy no go to my head thing. No bread you must have with shanka sansa. No, near. So Lawson Lotte, Mr. And this is you. I'm always if you want you're free to come to I say for semi boom down and see me, dear someone. Me not here. Lawson Lotte, Mr. Lawson Delay Man capsule. More your Lawson Law Care Mixture. Lawson Delay Man capsules. Do you know what you feel?
Delay Man capsules. A member do if you do what you do cronkwaneno. And a Law Care Mixture. So I pay for a ma woman for anyone I want if you do what train song can. FD Ashisha Sa a Jedi and Krato Imu Adia to Muse.
I love makeup. Applying it gives me so much joy. But when it's time to take it off, nothing does the job quite like the Black Secret makeup wipes. When I go somewhere and I feel really sweaty, I take my Black Secret wipe and I use it on my face. It picks me up and I don't look as tired as I did when I walked in.
Before I work on a client's face, I like to go over it with Black Secret makeup wipes to make sure the face is clean. It doesn't leave the face dry and tight, but it keeps it soft and moisturized.
Wipe say your bodo.
Bakope, and it gets the job done. Or baby, and the smell makes the experience even better.
Welcome back. This is TV XYZ. This is Wazor TV, and you can also join us via text, WhatsApp only, 0556 999 999. John Kweku Mensa Mauto is the Dean of Students, University of Professional Studies. In fact, he's at the School of Graduate Studies, and he has joined us here in the studio. And this morning, we shall also be speaking to John Gachi, who is a lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. I think he's the head of the business school there. And the object of the conversation with him is about the press statement by the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, he's responded to the conveners, fix the country now. And he's enumerated a number of things that government was doing, blames many of the challenges we are facing today on COVID. And he's also made promises about what government will do in the next few months to address some of those concerns. And I'm sure you are aware that last week news broke about the arrest of national security operatives in the Tiwa forest by community members who acted as a vigilante group. They laid ambush, and when they sneaked into the forest, they caught them pants down, handed over the suspect to the police. They are now in Accra in police custody. Government says they are not national security operatives. They are fake, and a contractor rather engaged them. But the pictures show them in military apparel and all the uniform that those who claim to be national security operatives wear. The ammunitions, the vehicles they used, and so on. They belong to the state. So the question is, how come? Now, all these are conversations on the table this morning. Let me welcome John for now. John, you are welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
How's everything?
By God's grace, we are coping.
I hope the weekend was nice.
Yes, a weekend celebrating our mothers. You know, on Mother's Day, the entire social media is flooded with messages, and that shows you the contribution of women in this country as well as the world. Women are so special. So the whole weekend was used to celebrate our mothers.
When you were young,
yeah,
as perhaps young as 10 years, 11 years,
yeah,
were mothers being celebrated? I don't remember.
Indeed, you know, it's probably because we were not enlightened to that level of celebrating people. Okay, it started some few years ago, but naturally, children grew up loving their mothers. It has several factors. Some call it the political, you know, links of mothers to their children. So sometimes we even celebrate them at the expense of our fathers, but specifically, it wasn't there.
There's this perception, and it's typical about African countries, where men appear to be in the majority when it comes to breadwinners at home. They foot all the bills, but for some funny reason, men are not celebrated as such. Is it a result of perhaps a certain trajectory over the period where society really understood the need to lift up the woman, which may have pushed this conversation that far?
Probably. Over the years, I've also been thinking like this, but it's Ghana, you know, because of the structure of our lineage. We have majority of the ethnic groups, you know, which is matrilineal. So okay, when you go to Nigeria, it's not like that. In Nigeria, fathers are really celebrated.
Okay.
People speak so well of their fathers. Okay, but just as we know, in the matrilineal lineage, we know how it works. There are some children who doesn't even know their father's surnames. I had friends like that.
And in Nigeria, it's a curse. They use it against you.
Yes,
it's an insult to you. You don't know your father.
Yes. In fact, I have friends who doesn't know their father's lineage. They don't even use their father's names. A friend was called Sarkodie. So I asked her, so when I met the father was not Sarkodie. Like, how? So it's my mom, it's my uncle. I mean, that's a lineage. So naturally, you have Ghanaians, majority, about 50 to 60% celebrating mothers all the time. But it doesn't mean fathers are not celebrated. But you see, naturally, the role of a father wouldn't give you that, you know, linkage with children.
With children.
We all grew up, I mean, so scared of our fathers because they have to discipline us. You grew up, marry, have children to appreciate the role of a father. A father who wants to be loved all the time will end up leaving the house the way it is. Today, you have to devise very good strategies, very contemporary strategies that will help your family grow, and then they'll grow to love you. The days when children see their fathers and run away shouldn't be the same again. Because today, as a father, when you get to the house, children must come and embrace you. It doesn't mean you shouldn't discipline them. Discipline them, explain to them the reason why they were disciplined. These are some of the few things that people think fathers are not celebrated. Fathers are celebrated, but the role of some few bad fathers also accounts for some of those things.
And that one is the subject that I believe a lot of people would want to talk about. I know a friend who says the mother hardly beats, but anytime she picks a cane, and this is an other woman, and you know they beat you mercilessly.
Yes.
And before they finish spanking you, they would have told you that don't do it again.
Yes.
But some of us will still do it. Well, let's celebrate our mothers. I want to say happy Mother's Day to a special friend, and you know yourself, so I won't go ahead. You are somebody many people admire, and you are the first lady of this country, Rebecca Akufo-Addo. I want to say a special happy Mother's Day to you, because you are the first lady, and we hope that whatever you wish for women in Ghana will come to pass. Now, let's start our conversation. I think what is trending is hashtag fix the country.
Yeah.
Yesterday, many people anticipated that some will converge at the Independence Square. Now they call it the Black Star Square. And before they could even decide to leave their homes, videos started going round about how the police had massed up at the venue, obviously to enforce the court injunction they secured. But there are several things in there. You'd realize that the police engaged them in a meeting. They sent a signal that that meeting went well.
Okay.
And so they were expecting that the demonstration will come on.
Okay.
Then we heard that they were complaining about the conveners being misled when they were supposed to meet the IGP, which ended into a meeting with somebody else.
Okay.
And then all the matters that unfolded came about. I talked about John Gachi. I believe he's your classmate.
Yeah.
He's on the line now. John, good morning. John Gachi, good morning. So we've lost him, and we'll be getting to him now. While we are waiting for John Gachi, how have you followed the narratives since Friday?
Okay, so I think for some time now, this young man whose tweets trended, and it gave some level of the feeling of the youth towards the way and manner this country is managed. And eventually, it has crippled into the entire society, houses, and then to the extent that the government has to invite them. It tells you that representation of the people's will, especially the youth. Because a young man, I don't think it's even 30 years, a very young guy who just tweeted and then had all this response. It tells you that it resonates with the people's feelings. Now, let's now look at the issues they mentioned. I think for some time now, they've even gone beyond the normal.
You know what? I don't want to stop you along the process.
Okay.
Let me take a brief break. When I come back, I'll give you space to really settle your case.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
If I cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa pa na menya bosia, Ediatre me juma yimu.
Kai kra mabre. Mi yebusia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamu akwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodoɔ bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, ekuokuo abosia, susu account, enidaso wɔ hɔ savings account, mebada chain savings account, ene de keka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 03422919896. Na won so wetumi aka sɛ
Suhum Rural Bank ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome back. This is TVXYZ. This is Wizard TV. Call us when we introduce the numbers. But for now, WhatsApp us on 0556 999 999. Now, his name is Alexander Chum Berema. He's a legal practitioner. He has also worked in. Alex, good morning. You look sweet.
Thank you.
The crest makes me feel like you are a government official because all of a sudden, when people start working at the Flagstaff House, they start wearing that thing. Yes.
Maybe we were once there, but now we are not.
I don't know. I like the smile you have welcomed those watching you this morning. I believe you enjoyed the weekend.
Well.
Okay. So John was on the floor. Apparently, we are looking at what has happened since Friday. The hashtag Fix the Country, the court injunction, the appeal, the deferment of the ruling to June 8th. The meetings that tend to be other meetings, the massing up of national security plus policemen at the Independence Square, the virtual protests that have started, and the finance minister's response, which will be part of our conversation. So John was on the floor. I want him to continue.
That's fine.
Okay, so as I was saying, what the threat seemed to have resonated with a lot of people. So you could see the interest coming from, virtually all the platforms. So some are shared on Facebook and all that. But what are the issues? The issues has to do with the recent difficulties associated with some policies that were churned out by the government, levies on consumption, as well as some erratic, power outages, which has bedeviled society. You wake up in the morning. I don't think it's so serious, even though it's impacting on livelihoods. Today, the consumption has increased when income is still fixed. So naturally, you expect people to speak up, and I'm not surprised that they are asking. The youth are asking, or we are asking for. Fixing the economy. And it's very imperative to know that, look, fixing the economy is the responsibility of all and sundry, especially when we are talking about the government, the state, and the people. Yes, indeed, the government is the one who has been given the mandate, the institution given the mandate to govern, and for that matter, must fix everything that is wrong with this country. But in as much as I also resonate with the people, we need to look at it from a very holistic point of view. Every country, when it comes to fixing every country, we have everyone playing a role to fix it, especially the government. I know they do it very well. They can do the distinction very well. The state and the people. Over the years, have we been able to ensure that all these three organs have played their role very well in fixing the country? When we have an executive government which wields so much power that they are able to infiltrate state agencies, so how do you expect the country to be fixed? Chairman, these are the truth too.
When you say infiltrate state agencies, can you narrow it to our understanding?
Thank you. You live in this country where a political activist could threaten a security man that when we win power, or if we win power, you see we'll deal with you. A state agency like the police, a state agency like the judiciary, a state agency like some state enterprises have been penetrated and influenced by government in power. These are the major problems. If they are not fixed, my brother, all that you are doing is just going round the problem. We will just be managing micro and medium-term issues. But the major issue is allowing state agencies to work. The major issue is about the waste in the system as a result of not allowing state agencies to work. You know, some of these things, when you speak it, people don't understand. It tells you that we need this level of governance literacy to go down there, for people to know that, you see, we have too much. We have the constitution of this country, the Fourth Republic, have given too much power to the executives. And NDC and NPP, whichever government will be elected to govern this country, or whichever party is elected to govern this country, will have to work with that system. And we have been saying that our problem is the constitution, where the executives have too much powers, appointing virtually all state agencies. So today, if there's a state agency that wouldn't play according to their whims and caprices, are you okay? They will have to shut it down. They have to change everyone. They will politicize everywhere.
Or they will starve you of resources.
I'm telling you.
Now, so could we then conclude that Ghana now, we should all accept, is a collapsed state, because majority will say parliament is almost a non-entity because it is not doing what they expect. Some will say the judiciary is a place where they don't even want to hear. Others will mention other statutory bodies like SHRAJ and so on. Then you have the mother of all, the Trade Union Congress, which should be a representation of those who are actually feeding into the national kitty, and so would become the watchdog roles. Clocksack, if you remember in 2018, for example, lamented that the finance ministry has been hijacked by some special assistants who are taking over the work of career civil servants. They just complained. We don't know how it ended. Either they were compromised and they kept quiet, or it is still existing, because just some few days ago, they are back again talking. Now, if all these people who are benefiting from the taxpayer is not speaking to the truth, and therefore checkmating government, because the constitution also has given powers to other bodies to be independent enough to act, then all of us must accept the blame.
I like the last statement. We must all accept the blame. You see, it's this civil servant and then the public servant association. My brother, that's what I just mentioned. The government at the end of the day have too much powers. They have penetrated these associations to the extent that they have been politicized. So whichever government comes in, look, if you know the inefficiencies in the, I mean, we all know the inefficiencies in the civil service. We all know. So Eric, today, if you are appointed into a ministry and you have to work with the lackadaisical attitude of some of these civil servants, you will be compelled to go for Berima Chum, even though you have a legal officer in there. You are caught between touching that man, and then the workers and the entire staff will vote against you. So to avoid and allow the status quo, you go for Berima. Berima, come and assist me as a consultant. These are the realities. You see, they will say it and make it look like, oh yes, indeed, we are being shortchanged. You have to be there to know the actual attitude of the... So
that is one side of the argument. I'll go to lawyer very soon, but here it is. The ordinary Ghanaian exercises his right by way of voting for a government because they changed the previous one and expect something better to be done.
Thank you.
Now, if the people realize that nepotism, corruption, all the things mentioned by Fix the Country is going on, and they react, how do you turn around and blame them when those who have promised to fix the problems they complained about yesterday,
Eric, you see,
as part of the problem.
You see what you just mentioned? Who are the beneficiaries of nepotism? The people.
Which people?
The people complaining. That is why
I'm not a beneficiary.
That is why.
I believe you are not a beneficiary.
I am not.
So it is very simple for you to generalize that the people are the beneficiaries.
I am not. At the end of the day,
are you complaining?
You say,
are you complaining?
He is.
I am taking him on.
He's complaining.
Yeah.
Before we came in, I think we had some few conversations concerning the economy.
So
yeah. You see, where over the years we've allowed government to penetrate state institutions, that's where we are today. Today, speak to 10 of the Ghanaian youth. They go to school just to finish and go and look for government work where there's not too much pressure. So the work you're doing here, they won't do it. Wake up early in the morning, come and sit here, they won't do it. They want a place that will be influenced by an uncle who is in power, who is part of government. And they give them a place, they can go to work at any time. There will be no respect for superior and all that. They have penetrated virtually all state institutions. And what you are saying is not akin to MPP. NDC, so you see, all of them, when they come, they go for consultants. And they'll fill those positions with political party activists. At the end of the day, they cannot even control them because when they touch them, the party will touch them. The party, just imagine. I mean, there are several examples. You have a very powerful and patriotic government appointee striving to change things. Recently, the regional minister of Greater Accra is in Medina saying that, please, I'm going to clear the streets of this indiscipline. Then a party functionary said that, look, what he's doing, he's hurting the party. Look at the level of indiscipline. So you see, the issue is not just about the current suffering we are going through, probably the difficulties we are going through, but the issue emanates from the system of governance. Because whatever we're talking about, the waste associated the waste associated with our system.
Ken Oforiatta has spoken, and the conversation will extend towards that, and the waste can come in. Because you've spoken at length, let me welcome Alexander Chumberima. Alex, no question. You've heard a lot. Your submission.
All right. Good morning to our viewers and listeners as well. Fix the country. I've been out of Accra for some days or some weeks, and in the course of time, I reckon that there was this thing going on social media about fix the country, fix the country, fix the country. Along the line, I heard that they wanted to stage a demonstration. I think it was meant for yesterday or scheduled for yesterday. But as usual, my former people decided to go the other ways and went through the back door to secure an injunction against them. An ex-party injunction against an ex-party motion was filed, and then they secured an interim injunction against them, and so they could not go ahead to do the demonstration that they wanted to do. Let me first talk about that injunction thing. You see, Eric, it is time you always call a spade a spade. Ghana Police Service as an institution is always permitting itself to be used by the executive too much, even though they are part of the executive. But they are always permitting themselves to be overused. Why am I saying this? There is a judicial pronouncement. When I talk about judicial pronouncement, it means the court has spoken on some of this kind of injunctions that will be secured within a short period of time to stop some people from taking certain actions. Now, let me quote a very respected learned judge, which I respect so much, Justice Dennis Ajay, and this is what he said. He said, any action which is initiated ex parte under the Public Order Act is void, as it's filed as it is filed contrary to the law and the procedure, and would constitute a breach of the rules of natural justice.
Why do you blame the police? why wouldn't you blame the judicial service? Because a judge knows this, that there's been a ruling that the Occupy Ghana Beppo secure.
The judge not just...
And the judge has taken a decision, and another judge has deferred the decision, buying time. And so they are part of this problem.
All right. So now let me tell you the reason why I'm first blaming the police. You see, this notion that the police need to give some people some kind of permission before you can do demonstration, it is becoming something like people feel that, oh, that is the norm. Police have no power to grant you any permission. Let's take it loud and clear.
Yeah.
Ghana Police Service, from the IGP to the last constable who passed out today, has no power to grant you any fiat to do any demonstration.
What about if they secure a court injunction?
That is the only mode that they have. The Public Order Act is very clear. Notify the police. Just put them on notice. This is what I want to do in the next 5 days. Or after the next 5 days. That is what I'm going to do. All that they need to do is to come and give you protection. The essence, the rationale behind that protection is that, sometimes these demonstrations are done on the high streets and so on and so forth. You one way or the other cause some kind of congestion and bring some kind of discomfort to the ordinary people or the road users. By virtue of that, it's important that they come into agreement with you as to which route you'll be using, and that you do it in a way that will cause some kind of calmness and not to distract anybody or any activity ongoing. Because of that, that is why we need you, or that is why the police will have to come into terms with you to arrange on all these things. Sometimes there have been instances. I remember somewhere in December, I think the NDC or somebody wanted to do the demonstration, and they were barred from doing it until after January. I knew that mostly each year in December to I think middle of January, the police are very tight because of the Xmas and the New Year festivities. They are normally made to be, to be in town most, doing a lot of patrols and so on and so forth, because of a series of activities that goes on within that stretch. So during that time, their numbers are mostly not enough to give some to other activities which may come, in parallel with that kind of activities that they have in mind each year.
We don't see the police today as was when they launched the visibility project.
It's collapsed.
Almost every major runabout.
You see, it is collapsed.
Policemen parked with their vehicles.
Eric, it is collapsed. Because it was an idea of one IGP. The IGP is no more. So once it's no more, once you leave, you live with it.
Okay, so
that has been the headache or the problem of Ghana Police Service.
Yeah, so
even in uniform.
So the demonstration didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
it didn't happen. And because the police had gone ahead to secure an injunction to stop them. But you see, be as it may, you stop them. It still does not prevent them from going to do it tomorrow. Any other day that they want to do it, they have the right to again file, give them or put them on notice, and still go ahead to do it. Even if it could not come on yesterday as they planned, there are still more days in the month or in the year to go, which they can try to do it anytime, any day.
Now let's see the issues.
Thank you. That's what I'm coming to. The issues of the kind of issues that they were raising in their arguments. What are some of them? They cited unemployment. They cited doomsaw. They cited exchange rates and so many things. Let's deal with the issue. Let me pick them one after the other. Unemployment. Someone will tell you, oh, every government under every era will have issues of unemployment. But, they have been creating jobs. The question is, how do you create jobs? How were those jobs created? Were they sustainable? How long would those jobs last? Or is it just a part-time job that was created like NAPCO? I describe it as a part-time job. Somebody should go and work for 2 years or 3 years, come and stay home, so that another person will go and do it. And the record is that you have created a job. Are you serious? Are you serious?
That doesn't solve part of the problem.
What is the problem? The person will still come back and become unemployed.
How do you solve the problem then?
Give somebody a permanent job. Yesterday I was giving an analysis to somebody. Do you remember the 2020 elections? During the campaign, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama had a plan to solve unemployment problem by giving the country a 3-shift system. Eric, last week I was in Kumasi. My mom is not well. She was admitted at Confederation Hospital. At some point, we needed to make some payment. Around 4:30 p.m., the people who were supposed to generate the invoice or the bill for us to go and pay were closed. 4:30. So we had to wait till the next morning, 9 a.m. before we can go and get that bill to go and pay. If we were to be running a 3-shift system for all sectors and all departments, that issue wouldn't have happened. We could have still gotten the bill around 4:30, go to pay no matter the time that I was in the hospital. But what do you have? the person or those officers were closed, and by virtue of that, my mom has to stay in that hospital till the next morning 9 a.m.
But is it easy operating a 3-shift system when you have a finance ministry which will always give quotas to MMDAs to appoint because of revenue issues?
Do you know how much revenue that is going waste? Go and check the 2021 budget. Office of Government Machinery was given a quantum, a heap, an increase of over 600 million Ghana cedis compared to the 2020 budget. As increase for money that are going to be used for salaries and other things. Just for Office of Government Machinery alone. Government communication was giving 4 million Ghana cedis to be used for their activities or whatever. Do you need that? Do we need that? And you still come back to tell us that you don't have money to pay workers. Really? But you could get money to increase yours from 200 something million to over 800 something million. That one is okay for you. In your budget.
Can anybody check that?
Can anybody check that?
He mentions too much powers in the executive, so they do what they want. For example,
that is exactly what they are doing. I mean, my point seconds that statement. The point I've just made here seconds that. But if not that you are doing whatever you want, would you have gone to increase an amount of over 600 million more compared to just the media past last year budget? The amount that you use for the same purpose, salaries of Office of Government Machinery. Check your budget, is there? Okay, so now the point is that looking at the issue that those gentlemen raised, the one question that a reasonable person may ask is that, have we ever encountered such a situation before? Let me give you some tweets that were given by the current president when he was in opposition and was trying to become president. This is what he said about our city depreciation. Listen, he said this on 4th of May 2016. 4th May 2016. That is just about about 5 years ago. Good. The current depreciation of the Ghana cedi against the US dollar is because of bad leadership. This is the Nakufa talking. And the bad, he used capital letters, making it sound high to you. We should not be where we are today because, we should not be where we are today to buy a dollar at 3.72. Vote for change. What is the rate of dollar today? 5.17, almost 6 cedis. Is that one a matter of bad leadership? Will he admit that? Because if 3.72 was as a result of bad leadership, then 5.72 or 5.75, almost 6 cedis, I don't even know the word to use to describe it.
Now, Ivor Greenstreet has spoken to this issue. And in summary, he says, we voted for what we want. And so we are living with it.
If he say we voted.
Wait, hold on. I will land. Now, if we voted for what we want, and that is what we have now, as we are complaining about nepotism, all those things, how do we then ensure that we change the narrative? Won't the hashtag fix the country, if it is allowed to fester and people do the right things, is it not going to put pressure on people who seek our mandate to govern?
Of course. The whole rationale behind that fix the country is to put them to their toes, let them work.
Yeah.
Because they are sitting idle. They are just giving you excuses. Whatever interview that my own honorable minister did, or is it press conference or whatever that he did, was just give you excuse.
Let me come to John.
He said he's working with the road ministry to fix roads. Go and check the 2020, 2019, 2018 budgets and look at how many roads that they intended to fix, which they did not even put a stone on the floor.
We'll speak to that. John, briefly, any brief response to what he must have said, maybe 2 minutes, and then we'll walk into the finance minister's response.
Yes, I think one of the things I flagged has to do with the provision of jobs. Okay. We have to change this orientation, the mindset that government provides jobs. Government creates
avenues for jobs to be created. But it's because John,
to be provided. Yeah,
I said that because that is the kind of impression they created. They made the people believe that this one is not giving it to you. I am going to give it to you.
Thank you.
In fact, in the finance minister's presentation yesterday,
yes.
John, just for the benefit, we introduced restored and enhanced social protection policies to support the vulnerable and address the pertinent issue of joblessness. These interventions include free senior high school program, then Zongo Development Fund program, school feeding program with about 3.4 million beneficiaries. It talks about LEAP program. It talks about nation builders call 100,000 jobs and allowances for teachers.
School feeding, and
the finance minister attempts to address the issue about job creation.
Do you know when school feeding was introduced? Do you know when LEAP was introduced? It was never introduced under Nekubadu's government.
It was introduced under Kufuor's government.
Thank you. So it's something that you have come to meet already. So if you say you have introduced it to cushion the people or whatever.
Maybe NAPCO is what they would take.
Eric, you give somebody a job, go and work for 2 years, 3 years, come and stay home for somebody to go and do it. And you think you have done something good?
No,
I don't agree with you.
In his presentation, I'm looking at creation of jobs which will be sounding permanent.
Okay.
Like
that is the point.
The building of hospitals, the building of schools, the building of airports. Because my grandmother or my father who is working at Kolebu was employed 30 years ago. If he does everything perfectly, he can only go on retirement before another opportunity is created for one person. So if any government expands the economy by way of some of these facilities, then government could be creating jobs.
Of course. So you see, just as I mentioned, you see, government is responsible to give us an enabling environment to create, for people to create sustainable jobs. Just as we change government. That is, if you want government to give you jobs when you cry, they will give you something just to satisfy you in the immediate term. But I mean, in the contemporary global development economics, government creates a very good environment for everyone, so that whatever you want to start, the private sector is the engine of every development, developing economy. The private sector, not government. Government come and go. Okay, so if you want government to give you jobs, they provide you with the what we call the social interventions. Okay, they provide social intervention because the socialist system has collapsed. Communism has collapsed. That is where government are responsible. A governance system where government are responsible to provide you with jobs. Once you finish education, which level you attain, they will give you jobs. The socialist system, the communist system. But in a typical capitalist system, where jobs are created by the private sector, you don't expect government to also join, because the government in a capitalist system is the regulator. This is something the youth must know. The government will regulate the environment and give the private sector.
How do we factor in this check system to ensure that the private sector, which may benefit from a number of policies, will actually demonstrate the creation of jobs and not maximizing profit? Because over the years, the private sector call for one policy or the other. Governments over the years offer them. They take some out. They only complain about the difficult policies, but we don't see the private sector, that multiplier effect in terms of the creations. And so you stop short, and government then will be compelled to do what we all say shouldn't be its job.
So you see what you are saying? It's just like telling the government who is the referee to also start playing and scoring goals. Are you okay? Sit back, regulate the industry, collect your revenues, and use it. If there are some social amenities you have to provide social interventions, provide. NAPCO is not a bad idea. That we have several unemployed youth. Let's help them undergo some training, some mentorship for 2 years, and then help them with some stipends. After all, in the developed economies, we have several youth not employed, the system making provision for them. I mean, for not working. Today, citizens of US are taking weekly paycheck of $300 to $400. Are you okay for doing nothing? So, in as much as I resonate with the argument that some of those things are not sustainable. So these are just for immediate terms. But if we are looking for a sustainable employment avenues for the people, then we are talking about the situation where we need to devise strategies to ensure that people will get sustainable jobs. Now, when you were speaking, I think you raised one particular issue about the foreign exchange, what do you call it, rate in terms of depreciation. Chairman, we all know what triggers our exchange rates. We all know it in this country. So the issue is that when you come and you don't create the enabling environment for people to overcome some of those difficulties, it will continue. Okay. We all know that if you do not produce internally, if you don't have programs that will attract foreign currencies, your currency will depreciate against the dominating foreign currencies.
Okay, now let me come to you. Now he makes a cogent point. Yeah. And now the question is, going forward, in his narration, I see some element of concern about wastage in the system. Now, how do we address the wastage, i.e. populist policies? You sit down, you look at buildings being, which were put up for the judicial service as early as 2015. They are pulled down and the state buys rent for them by way of looking for some of these facilities.
National Cathedral.
And then you hear the finance minister saying, we need $10 billion to fix the roads in this country. All the misplaced priorities, could he have translated into fixing this country over the years?
I would say yes in a way, because Eric, you see, before somebody comes, or a party, or let's say a group of people comes into power, they in one way or the other try to assess the country. They look at more or less the SWOT analysis, the strengths, opportunities, the threats, whatever. They look at all those things, and then they come into conclusion with certain policies or things that they think they can do to overturn things and make it work better than the previous. Now, with this very government, when they were coming, we heard so many things. In fact, there was a series of promises. Every single thing that was flying in this country was useless, so far as they were concerned. It was only the things that they intended to come to do that were the best. Fine. You see, the reason why you are hearing this call, fix the country, is because of your own things that you said in the past. I agree with my brother here that employment are mostly created by the private sector. It is true. In the Western countries, 90% of the jobs in there are by private institutions and not public. It's true. But what did we see in this country some few years back with regard to private companies? Banks, which were employing millions of people or thousands of people. Take the microfinance institutions, for instance. About 300 or so or more were collapsed. Eric, let's assume that each one was employing 10 people. 300 times the 10 amounts to 3,000.
Minus those in the value chain.
Thank you. Take the other ones, the Unibank, the UT Bank, the Heritage Banks.
But the finance minister, for example, would disagree with you because he would tell you that the policies they introduced, which resulted in the collapse of some of these facilities, are the reasons why they managed to revive the economy until COVID came in.
The policy whereby nobody asks you to bring an increase in their capital, and you ask them to increase their capital by a certain rate by giving the time period. That is the policy you brought. You think it was so necessary that we needed that?
You're talking about the minimum capital.
Of course. You think it was so necessary at that time?
I see the finance man.
Yes. No, I know you're coming, but the one I'm trying to make is that was it really necessary?
Hold it.
I'm just asking a question.
I won't answer because I want the finance.
I want you to answer.
No, hold it. At this stage, I want us to listen to excerpts of the presentation by the finance minister, Ken Oforiatta. In fact, he says, but for COVID, would have been on course.
He said that.
Yes. COVID. And then he makes reference to some specific presentations. He attempts to address the concern about borrowing and the debt to GDP ratio. And he makes reference to South Africa, Rwanda, Zambia, the United Kingdom, where their debt to GDP ratio was in 2019 and where they are as of 2020 December because of COVID. And so I will let us listen to the finance minister at this stage.
Today is the first of many updates and dialogues on progress on key government programs and bread and butter concerns of Ghanaians. I am truly grateful for the opportunity to engage with you personally. Over the past few weeks, I've been following the healthy conversations that started following the hashtag Fix the Country, a social media campaign primarily initiated by the youth. I actually have met the representative of the conveners to understand and explore collective solutions over what the conveners describe as, I quote, a failure on the part of successive governments to improve the lives of Ghanaians. And this is true, as you know. We've had some 17 IMF programs. The last one we exited not quite too long ago, and the president promised never again. I acknowledge that these are challenging times for many of us, and we, like almost all the countries in the world, are living through the worst economic crisis since 1918, the Spanish flu, and certainly since the Great Depression. Africa may potentially lose a decade of its economic growth because of the intervention of the pandemic. A time that has put a great burden on the necessities of lives and livelihoods never before seen in our recent history. Unfortunately, these external shocks have heightened Ghana's perennial problems, which we are committed to address as an administration. In extraordinary times, you should expect exceptional leadership from your administration or government. I truly believe we cannot ensure exceptional leadership without a collective effort from all of us. So I commend the youth for calling on government and leaders to be at their best. This shows the patriotism of Ghanaian youth, echoing the president's call to be a citizen and not a spectator. You have elected us to solve the problems that face this country. We will continue to work with you and other stakeholders to do just that. Until we were hit by the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020, we were on course to achieving the objectives to stabilize and grow the economy, create jobs, especially for the youth, modernize, digitize, and formalize the economy, to ensure social mobility for all with education, skills, and access to capital, providing social protection for the vulnerable, and create a safe and secure environment for citizens and businesses to thrive. As government, we took the following measures, among others, to address the structural challenges of the economy. We implemented flagship initiatives such as 1D, 1F, One Village, One Dam, Planting for Food and Jobs, and IPEP in the real sector to accelerate economic activities and help create jobs. We introduced restored or enhanced social protection policies to support. We introduced.
And so, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has spoken. In fact, if you want to get the details, just follow our social media platforms, and I believe you will see many of the things he has said captured, and even on TV they'll be scrolling. Now he makes reference to South Africa, whose GDP was 62.2% in 2019 and is now 82.6% in 2020. He makes reference to Rwanda, 50.7 2019 to 61.6 in 2020. Zambia 91.9 2019, and then to XXX is 2020. He couldn't really say where they are now. The United Kingdom 85.4% in 2019. That is debt to the GDP ratio, and in 2020 it is 100.9. And he says we will verify these figures again. Now that's his presentation. Now he makes reference to fiscal impact of COVID-19, which is 25.2 billion cedis, cost of financial sector cleanup 21 billion cedis, cost of excess capacity charges paid on IPPs 12 billion cedis, the impact of reduction in growth from 7% in 2017 to 0.4% in 2020, and it goes on to talk about the expenditure. And let me quote this particular paragraph. It says, if these expenditures are excluded and the drop in GDP growth in 2020 primarily attributable to the COVID-19 pandemic is taken into account, total stock debt for 2020 would have been approximately 238.9 billion, implying a debt to GDP ratio of 58.7%, which is below the ECOWAS threshold of 70%, to put things in perspective. And it makes reference between 2004 and 2008, Ghana's debt stock increased by 30%. That is during the Kufuor regime. Between 2008 and 2012, 269%. Between 2012 and 2016, 243%. So you see a deliberate attempt to suggest that the Mills Mahama administration performed badly in terms of the quantum of money borrowed, without making reference to what that money was used for, because that is what people are demanding today. Let me take your response, John. You have the statement, you've gone through it.
Yeah.
Wherever he spoke to, you can react.
Okay, so whatever we have here suggests that, yes, indeed, he tried to juxtapose that is the current debt to GDP rate before COVID. Okay, so in a nutshell, picking South Africa to say that, yes, indeed, before 2020, the debt to GDP was 62%. Increase to all that I want to say is that there's a significant increase
everywhere
in debt to GDP global. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, it is not something that maybe somebody could say that he has conjured it. It's something we know.
Okay.
But you see, in finance, flagging out the UK's instance, for instance, UK's debt to GDP currently, the figure presented, is more than 100%. Okay.
Yeah.
It tells you they owe more than what they have.
Thank you.
But that is not the issue itself.
In Ghana.
But the issue is that at the end of the year, the money you generate, what portion, because with this 100 million we're talking about, billion we're talking about, it could even run into maybe 40 years debt. So what they are paying as installment, annual installment, is not significant. It will not pinch the people. Now, what proportion of their total revenue for the year is used in servicing the interest on this? UK goes for loans at the interest rate of 0.5%, sometimes 1%,
even 1%.
1%. But we go for average of 4 to 8%, which is not sustainable. Today, if you look at, if you are to juxtapose our two major items on our expenditure lines, that is remuneration and then interest on loans, it constitutes over 92% of our total revenue.
92?
So, yes. No, these are the two major issues. Check the budget. Two major items on our budget. When you juxtapose that with...
Your friend is on the line. He always comes around when you are talking.
Please let it come.
John Gachi, good morning.
Good morning.
Your friend John Kweku Mensah Mauto is here with me. He's a lecturer at UPSA. I'm sure you know him. You were in Switzerland together.
Okay.
And he was in full flight. Now, because of time, but I'm happy we've managed to get you. You've listened to the finance minister. What do you make of the attempted response to fix the country now?
Well, I think the first aspect I will be trying to manage the wrong impression expressed as a response by various communicators of government, including the vice president. It's like those responses did not resonate with the people who are involved in this call to feed Ghana. I think the finance minister came to, first of all, accept most of the issues raised. In fact, for the first time, the finance minister accepted that there is debt burden on Ghana. He accepted that there are issues with employment of Ghanaians. He accepted that there are things that they have to do to fix the problem. And I think that is a better approach to dealing with your people, especially anybody who is in government should understand that you manage the economy for the people. And the people have the opportunity to pass a verdict from time to time. So I think he attempted to accept the issues that the people are raising and try to proffer some solution. Except that most of the things that he stated were very harsh of things that didn't work. For example, we have planting for food and jobs. While the government claims that it is largely successful, we cannot actually quantify the jobs that have been created for the youth. We cannot actually indicate how many irrigation projects that have been done to foster mechanized agriculture and commercial agriculture that can attract investment by people and the youth. That is not readily available to anybody to measure. It is also very clear that those measures directed to the health sector have become very difficult to appreciate because we have so many hospitals, chief compounds, and health facilities in the country that are not being utilized.
Mm-hmm.
We also know that a number of our nurses and allied health personnel have been trained by our system, who from time to time have to beg the government before they are given some limited financial clearance to go and work. So what are you going to do in the health sector to bring about jobs? What exactly? So these are just the hash of the difficulty that Ghanaians have been facing over a long period of time that ought to be dealt with. And remember, some of the issues have to do with corruption. And I do not think that the minister has actually considered corruption as a package of the things to address. So I think I can limit my preliminary comment here.
Okay, Doc, let's look at this narrative where he attempts to explain to the average Ghanaian how they are managing the fiscal space. So he talks about debt to GDP ratio, makes reference to selected countries here, South Africa, Rwanda, Zambia, and UK, and then also attempts to suggest that in spite of the borrowing and the concerns about what the money has actually been used for, he gives us an impression that, but for COVID, government would have made some savings, and he just summarizes that government would have saved, or government would have borrowed up to 238 billion by this time, compared to the 291 billion or so cedis we are now. So he's blaming everything on COVID, but for that, government would have been on course. You understand the figures better than us.
But I think there are some structural issues that when you are managing an economy, you should focus on to manage. I think if you look at the 2021 budget, we are spending 92% of the revenue expected in the region of 72 billion plus on emolument issue relating to wages, etc. Plus interest payments of about 35.8 billion Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
That has been the situation for some time now. Now, if you are fixing the problem, you'll be fixing the problem to be reducing the commitment of your revenue to these two items. And that is rather escalating. So that picture has not been attempted, there's no attempt to deal with that picture. Two, it is easy to compare debt to GDP ratio across African countries. But wait a minute. Who says that the government is borrowing debt to GDP ratio? The government is borrowing an absolute amount, and our interest burden is based on those absolute amounts. In fact, if your debt to GDP ratio reduces today, it does not mean that your interest liability has reduced. So what the government have been playing with over time is to tell us, or to compare the debt to GDP ratio that they have with that of NDC as in 2016, and claim that they are better managers of the finances of the country than NDC. But with the rebasing that they did, it showed that the debt to GDP ratio in 2016 is much, much lower than the debt to GDP ratio as at the end of 2020. Now, go to Japan, go to US. US is having a debt to GDP ratio in excess of 100%. If you go to Belgium, they are around 105%. Go to Japan, it's around 200%. Why is it that they are not suffering from interest payment burden? It's because there are other indicators of the economy that are much more important than debt to GDP ratio. Debt to GDP ratio is actually an indicator to tell you that you should cross a certain boundary. In fact, the ECOWAS convergence criteria has even made it worse for West Africa. While the debt to GDP ratio threshold for the international debt sustainability is 60%, that of the ECOWAS convergence criteria is 70%. Okay? So, that debt to GDP ratio has been reduced as a result of the rebasing. But the interest component keeps increasing. In 2017, we engaged in about 19 billion interest payments. Debt to GDP ratio reduced, but that increased to around 22 billion. At the end of 2020, we were doing in excess of 30 billion. And we are going to do in excess of 35 billion. That is where the problem is. Why is the revenue to cover that?
Okay, Doc.
So you can compare debt to GDP ratio across, but the interest burden on you, that is where your problem is.
And the money is needed for what we all want for this country. Doc, we don't have much time, but if I gave you 1 minute, what would you advise?
In terms of what is going on?
What would you recommend to government? Because the finance minister, for example, spells out plans for the road sector, for water and sanitation, for the other sectors of the economy. And for roads, for example, he says we need $10 billion to fix all roads in this country. We can only take them as piecemeal. What would you advise?
I think we cannot fix all the roads at once. So definitely it is informed that you have to do one at a time. So we cannot fix all the roads at a time. You see, all this boils down to the approach of the government, where the senior minister went to parliament and said that they cannot deal with a long-term development plan. They have to deal with their manifesto. That's what they tell the people. And that's what the people are calling them on. If we were to have a roadmap in sense of a very clear, national development plan that is guiding us, we will not be facing some of the problems that we are facing.
All right, Doc, so informative, and we always have you be part of our breakfast show. TVXYZ is grateful. Wizard TV is grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Doc made a lot of submission. You were on the floor. Yeah. We have barely 15 minutes to wrap up. So, let me throw it to lawyer. Okay. Just wrap up.
Yes.
The lawyer will come in.
So in as much as, I think he just continued with what I was going to say.
Sure.
We're going to land. I was going to land there. That look, when it comes to debt to GDP ratios, okay, the benchmark is okay, but there's a driving factor. That is the interest that you pay. In fact, in as much as me personally, I wanted to respond to one of the issues he mentioned. That has to do with the banking sector cleanup. Are you okay? Mm-hmm. Look, it was vital because we were running a banking system where the banks were going bankrupt. I have, academically conducted what we call stress analysis of banks, and we were in that region where it would have gotten to a stage that you go to withdraw your own money, you don't have it. Because of some practices that some of the banks, not all of them, some of the banks...
signs on the wall, or it was just anticipated?
No, it was bad.
But some would say before...
But it was bad.
Do you also agree that some of them, their challenges were pointing to the fact that they were being owed severally by several customers, which included even government?
Yeah, so that is what makes it bad. Because, see, the private sector was becoming so risky.
So why doesn't government just pay them?
No, so you see, when you even pay them, there are other issues that will account for the continuous decay of the financial sector. Now, let's come back to the others. I'll just put up in the next few minutes. In as much as I sympathize with this government for the huge amount they should have diverted into developmental projects by going to divert them, to cure the ravaging effect of COVID-19. Okay, this government has not been very efficient when it comes to negotiation of loan interest. We are amassing too much. I mean, we go for loans that are too expensive, my brother. Look, they are unsustainable. Within this short period, the interest rate we are paying on our loans are not. It tells you that if UK is what do you call it? So it tells you that even debt to GDP ratio is not a major determinant of whether they are doing well or not as an economy, because some have. US is more than 100%. UK more than 100%.
Okay,
but they are not facing the issues like
for example, the proponent of interest giving money to people and not taxing them unnecessarily.
That is it. Even Nigeria was giving money to.
So Nigeria.
I'm a member of the Nigerian bar situation. During COVID time, money was paid into my account because government was giving money. I'm telling you.
Chairman, what's the money? Chairman, what's the money?
They were giving money to the even Nigeria here.
I don't understand why you look so. you go ahead.
No, but see, Eric, you see, one thing that we need
to have much time, so
yeah, I agree.
So that we can speak briefly to Galamsey.
I'm not a typical finance person. I have just done a little bit of finance, but not into details as my senior people have done. You know. But my little, you see, sometimes the reason why we'll be coming around this issue of GDP, debt to GDP, is all because of something of the past. You see, one reason why we do history is that we can always have reference or something to rely on tomorrow.
Chill that.
Why are we here? 24th of March 2015. Listen to our own vice president. This is what he said.
Dr.
Baumia. He said at 67% of GDP, Ghana's debt stock has crossed the critical 60% of GDP level that developing countries with limited access to capital flow should worry about in terms of debt sustainability. In fact, Ghana is right back to debt unsustainability that led to HIPC. However, HIPC debt relief will not be available again. Ghana's status can thus be described as that of a highly indebted lower middle income country. That is HIMIC. Dr. Baumia said. He said IMF bailout will the anchor hold. He just put the question mark. Distinguished Speaker Series, 24th of March.
Do you think Dr. Baumia has lost credibility? Because in John Gachi's submission, was it you or John Gachi who said they made an attempt to respond to the Fix the Country people?
Yes, it was John.
It didn't work. Because Baumia came out with about 70 pointers as to what they had done. You see, and that is why the finance minister...
Professor Lumumba, who is the head of the Kenyan Law School, said something. He said, where you have done something, and you spend hours to tell us what you have done, it means you have done nothing. Because whatever you have done, you don't need to tell us. It will speak for itself.
What about it?
Why is it that anytime
people refuse to listen to what or acknowledge what has been done?
Why is it that anytime people are pointing to things that this government has not done, they will just come and give you a lecture to tell you whatever they have done? If the things are there, do you need you to come and tell us? We know, we will see it. And then it will amount to hypocrisy on our part to tell that you have done something, yet you are saying you have not done anything. But here we are. That the government will always come to you in the term of public forum, assembly hall meetings, and so on and so forth, to tell you whatever they have done. Listing activities. I remember their first day, the first 100 days in office. Dr. Baumia came with a list of items. That's why he told us that he has arrested the dollar, and jailed it or whatever, giving the key to the IGP to keep it. Today, I don't know whether the then IGP went home with the keys or just still with the new IGP.
Consider me. Let me manage the time left.
All right.
And let's see
the
way forward. Finance Minister concludes. The good people of Ghana have given us a mandate to get things done.
And they are always complaining and comparing.
This is a clarion call for a national conversation on the shared burden to renew the social contract of our democracy. At its minimum, we should ensure social justice, social mobility for most Ghanaians, and at our best, we should open for all Ghanaians an economic system under each citizen who shall be guaranteed the opportunity to show the best in him or her. As I always have, I will commit to working to fix those structures that will set Ghana on its path for prosperity.
Okay.
Now, in all this summary, he mentions the road sector, the sanitation and water sector, health,
he said he's talking with them.
And he says he's talking to them, and in the few months, we'll find solutions.
He's talking to them to do 1 minute. Go and check the 2018 budget.
You believe it.
Go and check the 2019 budget, which were termed as a budget, whatever budget. There are different names were given to it. You will see that in one of those budgets, they decided to, or they planned to do a railway line from Nsamu to Koforidua. Which farmland is now occupying that railway land? We are yet to know.
Okay, John.
They promised to give us a dual carriage lane from Accra to Takoradi. At the same time, Accra to Kumasi. Where are those roads?
Okay, hold on.
So if you could not do it for us in your past budget, and today somebody is pushing you to your own work, and you come and tell us that, oh, we are talking to the ministers, but when you answer that my own honorable minister has forgotten. What he has forgotten is that the road ministry that does not have money to do anything. Okay. They always come to you. Right. So you should have told us that, oh, we have made money available for them to go and fix this road. And not to tell us that he's telling them.
John, listen very carefully. I want to say this before you start talking. Okay. I have 5 minutes. I have 20 messages. Okay. I've dashed you 1 minute.
Okay. Eric, you see, as a country, we have to be devoid of using manifesto plans to develop this country. It will not work. NBC comes, he says, I came with my own plan. NPP comes, I was so surprised when the senior minister said this, because he was part of the planning committee.
NDPC.
Yes. For the government to have, for the state to have used so much resources to plan 40 years ahead of us. And you think you can use 8 years to implement? It is not done. It has never been done anywhere before.
Okay.
Let's have a national development plan. Let's go by this national development plan and stop this manifesto development of our country.
Okay, so the country has a body called Council of State. This is supposed to be the epitome of wisdom. And the question is, are they a drain on the state, or they are actually working for Ghana? I will leave that to you, but I have time for messages. I'm taking that from the company because they are all there, and they should be seen to be speaking to any government that this is what we think after all we have done in life.
That is it.
They are all the wisdom we have acquired to sit there and be giving you all the l'argent. As Council of State,
they are advising
if you become bootlickers,
no, they are advising government.
That is how they are. Then we have a problem.
They are advising government, Eric.
President Akufo-Addo and his government should stop blaming everything on COVID and Mahama, and they should fix the country. This is from Efiekuma. Sorry, I'll read more messages. I didn't know. Have you forgotten? Okay, so this one says, Mukaila Jones says, inside Kerry, please tell convenience of the fix the country to give us a break and allow the discerning Ghanaians to judge what Akufo-Addo is delivering or not. Boshaba Amnesty says that Ghanaians should expect good things from President Akufo-Addo in the second term because he has good policies. This text message says, we don't need any flimsy excuses. Nana Akufo-Addo, we all know you failed promises and we are asking you to fix it. $1 million per constituency and so on and so forth didn't come. This one is from Masawood. Says, discerning Ghanaian knows that President Akufo-Addo is on right track. I will make your messages very short because of time. Eben from Kwabenya says, truth should be told for once and for all. Mr. Finance Minister, if truly the economy is being fixed by government, we all can see and we are not blind. This one says, breaking news, money. Okay, so this not associated with the text messages. It's time. I can't do many. I apologize to many of you whose messages will not be read today. The president who implement pro-poor policies such as free SHS and abolished 17 taxes will be the last person to put Ghanaians into extreme hardship. And this one is from a top police officer. He says, look, tell my friend, the lecturer, sitting on this program that the economy is broken beyond repairs, so they have nothing to fix.
It's not true. It's not true. Well, it's not true. When economies are broken beyond repairs, you cannot. Liken that to Ghana. I mean, Ghana is not broken.
We are not Zimbabwe.
No, we are not.
Okay, Inshaba says, thank you, Dr. Baumia, for educating the propaganda NDC, which is always full of lies. Lawyer Alexander Chumberema, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Eric.
The Nigeria money there we go share.
Eric, you didn't allow us to wish our mothers happy Mother's Day. You didn't allow us to wish our mothers happy Mother's Day.
Your mother is all yours.
Veronica Mauto. Oh, happy Mother's Day.
I'm not speaking.
You don't have only one mother. Margaret Bannerman Thompson, the late,
right,
who brought me up.
who mentored you to be.
I can only wish.
And as well, my grandmom who also brought me up, that is my mommy, Mary Anumwa. She's late also, but she's one woman that I call her my most favorite person on earth. And also with my mom, my Vida Che. I wish them happy Mother's Day.
All right. Yeah. I would say happy Mother's Day to my wife's mother, Josephine Sniper. In Fantaphone Wenzin. Yeah. She took her father's name, Armstrong. Okay. And the mother is Sniper. Yeah. And the father is Sniper. The father is Sniper. The people, the white people came to I don't know what to say. But your hand program nebesi. Nyami adumo ochina yebeshia. Abna sewa so da wana say all the production team ochina yenshi ane nzin komobium. Bye for now.